What is up, YouTube? Johnny here again today, and we are back with the Fiesta. It is quite soon. It's only been about a week since they broke into the shop and took all of the tools that I use, but we're gonna be borrowing some tools for this video. You know, we gotta try to keep the videos coming, so borrowing some tools. They're pretty much new, so this is gonna be nice, a nice getaway from all my tools that I've had in the past, they were all kind of old, so probably time for an upgrade regardless. But we, on a brighter subject, we are going to be modifying the Fiesta ST again, and we are going to be upgrading the suspension now. So to this point, the brakes and the suspension are still completely stock. So that's some of the next things that we need to address. And we're going to be doing one of the first things that everybody likes to do is to put suspension. Coilovers might not be the first thing. Sometimes you do springs. Just because, when you're in the budget, when you're starting off. I remember my first car, all I did was I upgraded the struts and shocks, and I put eye-box springs on them just to lower it a little bit. And that's normally what you want to do. You want to get the car lower a little bit, or you want to raise it a little bit, depending on if you have a truck or you have a car that you're going to be using for off-road and stuff like that. The Fiesta ST is obviously like a rally spec car, so we wanted it to be tall at first, but then we decided that we might want to lower it a little bit based on like the tarmac specs. Because we're not, at this point, unless we upgrade the suspension completely, like change the subframes from M Sport and do the Rigers, we're looking at like thousands of dollars. We're looking at like $10, $20, $30,000 even, or because that suspension is like one of the biggest points. We might be even looking at more, because part of the suspension is not only suspension, it's the roll cage. The roll cage has points that mount to the strut towers, the mount to the rear strut towers, because the rear gets completely modified. It gets turned into a McPherson setup, so pretty much the same setup that's in the front of your cars is also going to be in the back for that. So it's a whole lot of things that need to be done, and maybe later on we could do something like that, but at this point we just wanted to get a nice coilover setup. And the issue with the Fiesta, as with like the 350Zs and stuff, is that they come with a shock and a spring separate from each other in the rear of the suspension. And most of the time, that works when you're stock, but you want to run a true coilover setup, which is the coil over the actual strut or shock. And that's what we did. We found that Ford Racing actually developed a kit back in the day for, I think it was like the b-spec racing, and this is a true coilover setup. It completely deletes the spring that's separate in the back, so we can actually run it all together. So if you guys look right here, this beauty is an actual coilover setup. As you can see, it says Ford Racing. It's got the eye-box springs on it. So this is what we're going to be installing in the rear. True coilover setup. One of the only ones. I think there might be, if there is anything out there. I did a bunch of research and couldn't find it, so we just went with this. I did hear that the spring rates are a little bit stiff, so later on we might change the spring rates for something a little bit softer, but for now, just to kind of test it, let's see how stiff they really are, and enjoy it. So let's go ahead and install them. Alright guys, so we got the old stuff out, original. This is just a shock and doesn't come with a spring. The springs are separate, as you guys saw earlier when we removed them. And here is going to be the new one. Put them side by side. Looks like they are inverted, mainly because of the fact that this would probably interfere with the actual like inner fender liner of the car. so I'm guessing that's why they inverted them, but nonetheless, it's going to be a very big upgrade. It's all CNC aluminum, and apart from the shock body. So let's go ahead and install this on now. So here we are with the old front strut. You guys can see it's much bigger, much more rounded, whereas these are a bit smaller. But these are specifically designed by Ford Racing, you know, to have a specific target area, so for like autocrossing and b-spec racing and stuff like that. The only thing that I did notice is that they did not come with top hats. So what I did is I went ahead and removed the top hat off of the stock one, and it actually looks like it just lines up with this perfectly. So that's good to know that that's going to be working for us. So let's go ahead and put this on, and then we can go ahead and put the front coilovers on. Alright guys, the coilovers are finally installed. They look amazing. Having the actual true coilover in the back is going to be hopefully a lot of benefit, and it's also going to look really nice since this car is going to sit high and the over fenders are actually kind of like high up, so you can see a big wheel gap. Even if you were to slam the car to the ground, you're going to still see some wheel gap because the kit is designed to be able to fly through the air 10 feet and land, have the tires articulate all the way up, and you know, just have the whole suspension working to keep you safe as you land. So that's how the kit's designed. We're gonna be seeing some wheel gap, and it's a rally build. We don't really need to have like Stance Nation on a Ford Fiesta that's gonna be taking to autocross and taking to the track as well. So since we're gonna be setting it up as a tarmac, we're not gonna even go. We're gonna try to go a little bit lower than what it is, just to see if we can get the fitment looking still good, getting the kit to kind of like sit really nicely with the ground, not too far, because we still need to have some sort of articulation, and then we also need to have some clearance, so he's not scraping anywhere, because once you're static, you know, we don't want to be ripping the expensive M Sport kit. So that's going to be another thing that we have to be careful with, to not bring it down too low, because if we damage that bumper, we know that bumper is not cheap, and then we have to order it all the way from the UK again. And dealing with M Sport is not easy, because it was a lot of work just to even get the kit. So we're gonna try to protect it. Obviously we don't want to damage it, so we're gonna set it up to a height where we think is gonna be perfect, and just enjoy the car, just keep driving it. It's my brother's daily driver still, and it's looking a little funny as he's driving it around, but you know, at least the car is gonna be handling really nicely with these new coilovers on it. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you have a great day.